Hey, it's Jay, and today I'm going to take a deep dive into the iPhone 12 Pro. Is it worth the upgrade? We're going to find out today. Before we get started, please don't forget to like this video and subscribe to this channel to help it grow. First, let's compare the size of my older iPhone X to the iPhone 12 Pro. Both feel like they're really high quality, but the iPhone 12 Pro has this really nice stainless steel casing, and I was able to order it in the new Pacific Blue color, which I think looks really cool. The screen size is just a little bit larger on the 12. If we put them up next to each other, there's a little bit more thickness on the 12. And you can tell that the iPhone 10 is just slightly smaller. It has a 5.85 inch screen, whereas the 12 has a 6.1 inch screen. The X has a glass screen, whereas the 12 has some new technology. They have a ceramic and glass hybrid screen that they call Ceramic Shield. In the lab, they say the Ceramic Shield has a 4 times better drop performance than the iPhone 11. The iPhone 11 has a ceramic and glass hybrid screen as well, but I guess this one's just a little bit better. The iPhone 12 Pro is waterproof, which is a really nice change. You can drop your phone in a pool, and it can actually stay under 6 meters of water for up to 30 minutes and be okay. This one has some water resistance qualities to it, but definitely not waterproof, and you don't want to drop it into a pool. The screen on this phone is made by LG, and it's an OLED display with a 1170 by 2532 resolution. And most iPhone screens up to this point have been made by Samsung, and that's still the case, but on these particular high-end models, they're now switching over to OLEDs. And the OLED, to be honest, is better than my 4K 65-inch TV. So let me explain to you quickly how OLED works. Samsung screens are LED screens where electrons flow from one semiconductor to another because of potential difference between. When the electron fills the electron voids on the other side, sometimes called holes, there's an abundance of electrons on one of the semiconductors, and they jump over a gap and actually land on the other side where there's less electrons, there's actually voids. The electrons want to fill those holes and complete the bonding. When they do this, they become more stable and give off quite a bit of energy in the form of an electromagnetic wave. That electromagnetic wave happens to be in the visible light spectrum, and that's the color we see. I actually did a video on this explaining it in further detail, so if what I just said makes no sense, then watch the video right up here in the corner of the screen. In an OLED, the O stands for organic because instead of using semiconductors, LG uses carbon compounds or organic compounds to create the same effect. A potential difference is created between the seal layer and the substrate that allows electrons to flow from the cathode towards the anode. Next to the cathode is an emissive layer where electrons find missing electrons or holes in the conductive layer next to the anode. The holes jump from the conductive layer to the emissive layer to combine with the electrons, and photons or visible light are given off as a result. Red, green, and blue filters are placed on top and individually turn on and off. If you do that millions of times per second independently across the surface of the screen, you'll have millions of color combinations for an extremely high resolution picture. OLED has true black because this type of screen is not backlit like LEDs are. Since each pixel is controlled independently, it's possible to turn off all lights in a specific area on the screen to give you true black. Okay, now that we covered our science, back to the review. Let's put on the case I got for the iPhone 12 Pro. I didn't want to block the cool Pacific Blue color, so I went with the clear MagSafe case. Apple has introduced these MagSafe cases and chargers. The technology uses a series of magnetics to properly align the charger on the back of the iPhone. This alignment maximizes the magnetic flux between the two surfaces, allowing electrons to optimally flow through the copper charging coil into the phone. Just to compare, my nightstand magnetic charger passes around 7 watts of power while charging my iPhone, whereas the MagSafe charger passes nearly 15 watts of power. Charging time in theory should be cut in half, and this technology could lead to no plug-in ports in the future. This is the first iPhone to use the A14 Bionic processor, which was engineered and manufactured by Apple. In the past, Apple used Intel processors. The A14 Bionic processor requires much less power and has a faster processing speed than any of its competition. This will help support the new Dolby Digital High Dynamic Range HDR feature, where you can record and edit video in HDR. Gaming and speech recognition should be seamless, especially since they've upped the RAM in the phone from 4 gigabytes to 6 gigabytes. This phone is on steroids. All models of the iPhone 12 have 5G, which is becoming more readily available. You're able to turn on 5G, set to auto-detect 5G, or turn 5G off if you don't want to waste battery in a non-5G area. I've traveled between here in Florida and Georgia with this phone, and my phone flows nicely between the 5G and the LTE. So far, I haven't noticed any strain on my battery as a result. One of the cool perks of 5G is that you can now FaceTime in 1080p if you're connected to the 5G network. The base model of the iPhone 12 has 128 gigabytes of storage, where recent previous models had 64. The base price is also the same, but has double the storage. I upgraded to the 256 gigabyte, but it also comes in 512. For the finale, I saved the thing I'm most excited about on this phone, and that's the camera. It's insane. So they engineered the heck out of this thing. It comes with 3 different types of cameras: an ultra wide lens, a wide lens, and a tele lens. So if we just go into camera, we can switch between them. If you're just on regular photo, 0.5 gives you this like a distant view, and that's the ultra wide. If you go to 1, that's the wide lens using a different camera. And then if you go to 2, that's your tele lens. The ultra wide lens is probably the coolest one because I could be a couple feet away from someone and get an awesome shot. All right, I've already noticed that like if you're in a tight space like this, where you're super close up to something and you can't get it all in frame, you just go to ultra wide lens, which you can scroll over to or just click it. And look at that, I'm super close to the object and I can get this really nice shot. I just noticed that the color and the contrast of the photos are just so good. And I think it's because one of the reasons they upgraded from 8-bit to 10-bit, which means that all your color and contrast will be preserved in the footage. So you get a little bit more data in all of your photos and your video. In 2021, you'll also be able to shoot in RAW footage, which will be a software upgrade. And RAW footage puts you on the same playing level as some of the best cameras out there. This phone alone costs less than my Panasonic Lumix G85, which is the camera that I use to make all my YouTube videos at the moment. It can't even compare. I mean, this camera and this video quality just blows everything away. And you can also shoot in 4K 60 frames per second, which allows for some awesome slow motion video. Apple's incorporating a new technology into their phones. Well, actually, it's not new technology. It's been around for a while, but it's called light detecting and ranging, or also known as LiDAR. And basically what it does is it sends electromagnetic wave pulses out from this little spot right here on the phone. And it pulses around all the objects in your room. Based on the timing of the waves that return back to the phone, LiDAR can paint a picture of its surroundings, even extremely low lighting. This has allowed Apple to really up their night video and photo game. So now there's this night mode that allows the shutter to stay open a little bit longer. It's combined with the stabilization feature, which gives you like a super clear handheld photo at night. So if you just look in the top left-hand corner of the screen, you're gonna see something pop up when I cover over the lens with this cloth. Based on the lighting conditions, that's gonna allow the shutter to stay open longer when it detects low lighting, and it'll change the ISO on the camera and everything else automatically. Let me just show you a couple of photos I took at night. So I'm gonna be able to get these amazing, super clear handheld photos at night. So ultimately, it's your decision on whether you want to upgrade or not, but I really am super excited about this iPhone 12 Pro. I think it's worth it, especially if you're vlogging or you're trying to get some more professional videos or photos of your family. It acts as well, if not better, than any camera in its price range. And now just a little bonus content of things that your iPhone can do that you may not have known about. If you found this video helpful, please consider subscribing. In order to watch content in HDR on your current iPhone or record and edit on your iPhone 12 in HDR, go to Settings, click on Camera, go to Record Video, and make sure HDR video is turned on. See, it says on this 12 that you can record up to 60 frames per second video in 10-bit high dynamic range, including Dolby Vision. Boom. For the second tip, there's a really cool music recognition app called Shazam, you've probably heard of it, that you can now put on your control screen. Just go to Settings, scroll down to Control Center, scroll down to More Controls, and click the plus sign on Music Recognition. It'll now show up in your Control Center right here, and now every time that name of that song is on the tip of your tongue, just bust this app out and you can achieve inner peace. And for the final thing you may not have known is that you can set up all sorts of functions by double tapping or triple tapping on the back of your phone. So you're going to go to Settings, you're going to scroll down to Accessibility, click on Touch, scroll down to the bottom, find Back Tap, and then you've got the options of double tap or triple tap. So let's set up double tap. I'm going to click down here on Screenshot, and then let's close this. So now every time I double tap on the back of the phone, it'll take a screenshot. Don't forget to like this video if you found it useful, and I'd really appreciate it if you'd subscribe.
Oh honey, though our friendship ceases